When you're a boom operator on your own on a film set, you don't always have the ability to check a frame every time you want to see how safe you are with your boom margins outside of the frame. Here's a few visual references for you to just plant in your mind so that on your next shoot, you know roughly how close you can get based on the lens that we're on. Right now, we're working with approximately a 9-foot distance from camera to subject. And if I'm going to pick a place to boom from, my first choice will always be nearby to camera. There's a little bit of like a cone of what's in frame that gets smaller the closer to camera you are. So if I were to walk further out over here, I'm actually in a wider part of the cone than I am over here. And I'll have to have my entire boom at a higher height to clear that cone. Say if I was over here, I have to be higher up than if I'm back here, and I can dip the boom a lot further down and still be out of that cone. So in this shot, this is a 24mm lens on a full frame sensor. And I'm gonna show you the microphone dipping into frame from right nearby camera. So now that is in frame. If I'm gonna be clear of that, I need to be out of the frame a little bit, and I'm gonna make a mental note on what's behind the camera so I can draw a line and make sure the microphone doesn't dip below it. Now, this may not be the most ideal distance to boom from. However, we have a very wide shot, and if we're trying to match the acoustic properties of the visual properties, we kind of want to sound a little bit further away. We don't want to sound soap opera, lavalier microphone right there, and it kind of feels a bit odd as a viewer. So let's have a listen to how this sounds like. We're just going to have a little test dialogue here from our actor.
So I was wondering why the dryer kept shrinking my clothes. Then I realized it was a refrigerator all along.
We haven't changed anything about the setup here except for the lens itself. We've lensed up to a 35mm lens. So our cone now is a little bit tighter, our field of view is much more narrow, and we can, in theory, get a lot closer with our boom. Because our subject is still fully in frame though, we actually don't want to get super, super close. We don't mind a bit of that room sound in this kind of a perspective because visually, again, we're far away. So let's just hear a test of this distance.
Dear math, grow up and solve your own problems.
Now, because of our headroom, we're actually able to get quite close on this shot, but I wouldn't be afraid to be a little bit further away. Maybe if you have multiple actors that are all different head heights, you may actually want to average out to be more or less the same distance from each. We've lensed up further now to a 55mm lens, so you can see the cone is getting narrower and narrower. Now, this does mean we can get closer. We actually really want to get closer now as well, because it's going to sound the way it looks if we have a very close, intimate sound. So I'm gonna get a bit too close. Let's just get a reference to that. So that's in frame. You can see how close I can get. Let's hear how this sounds.
I only know 25 words in the alphabet. I don't know why.
We're now on an 85mm lens, which has a very small cone for us to be working within. This is usually a very intimate shot. This is very close. The actor's usually doing a lot of face acting. So it's very important that we get a nice close sound to match that close visual. So for this, I'm gonna show you there's almost anywhere that we'd wanna put the microphone, we're safe to put it. We have to get basically inner face to even be in the shot. So this is still clean here. Let's hear how close this sounds.
Where do you learn how to make a banana split? Sunday school.
This is even tighter than an 85. We're at 100mm right now, and we're kind of in the same world where we have almost all the headroom in the world we could possibly ask for where to put a boom. We can get as close as possible. We want to be as close as possible, so we're sonically matching that image.
What did 0 say to the 8? That belt looks great on you.
And just for reference, this is how far down I've got to get to be visible in this shot. Like, we're basically in licking distance.